bass keeps running, running, and 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 running, running, and
we got into this mess mainly because we lost respect for the Constitution and we lost our faith that freedom really worked. Unfortunately, as they say, everything changed on 9/11, but tragically, it has been changed in the wrong direction. We never get a national ID card in this country. That we have a moral and a constitutional responsibility to go about the world and make the world safe for democracy, that vision, that idea has to be rejected. So my solution for Iraq is not complicated. I had a speech not too long ago on the House floor and I tried to simplify it, and I said we just marched in, we can just march out. Told now that this war against terrorism, which is rather vague and non-definable on purpose, that it's going to last a long, long time. So the war conditions motivate too many to be complacent to say that under war conditions, we have to give up our liberties. And I say, no, we do not have to give up our liberties under any conditions. We could start by repealing the Patriot Act. We could get rid of the Military Commissions Act. We could restore the principle of habeas corpus. We could suspend all efforts for the national ID card. And we could suspend all warrantless searches on the American people. Why do I think the campaign is going so well? And it's no more complicated than saying freedom is popular. Is to convince the American people that the freer we are, the safer we are. It's easy to understand that if we had a lot more respect for the Second Amendment, this would be a much safer country. Maybe if we had had a few guns on certain airplanes on 9/11, 9/11 might not have occurred. Our civil liberties are being attacked. Our economy has been undermined. Our dollar has been virtually destroyed. And we have a foreign policy that is devastating to the people of this country, and these things have to change. You know, in the year 2000, the Republican Party won the presidency on a foreign policy that said we should not be involved in nation building, we should not police the world, and we should have a humble foreign policy. Makes a lot of sense. But unfortunately, the American people were deceived. We do not have a humble foreign policy, and we do not have the authority to do what we're doing. So the sooner we wake up and realize not only do we need to get out of Iraq, we need to stop intimidating the whole Middle East and stop preparing for the next war in Iran. Not only that, if we could get to the point where we resume the foreign policy of the founders of minding our own business, you know, there's a side benefit to all this. Not only would we be much stronger and have a stronger military and have a stronger defense, just think of the money we could save. Let the young people get out. If they don't want to join the Social Security system, they don't. And guess what? Guess what? There is no authority in the Constitution for a central bank, so we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. They mock the idea of going to a gold standard, claiming that it is irrational. The irrationality is the idea that you can create money out of thin air and trust the politicians to do it. That's what should be rejected. Woo! If you and I can't counterfeit the money, why should we allow our government to do it? America does have some greatness to it. We've had a great Constitution, and there are easy ways to spread this message, and that is by setting a good example and following the law here in this country. And we could restore the basic principle of the founders and our original intent of the Constitution, and that is the purpose of the Constitution is to restrain the government, not to restrain the people. These ideas are not complicated. We got there by the mere rejection of the rule of law. We can return to the rule of law. Almost every answer can be found in our Constitution. But this whole idea that the Constitution is so casually rejected by our leaders in Washington, and I'm not talking about just the executive branch. It's the executive branch, it's the congressional branch, the executive branch, the legislative branch, as well as the judicial branch. They have no respect for the rule of law. When we were in the process of transferring illegally the authority to go to war from the legislative branch to the president, I suggested strongly suggested by offering an amendment to that and saying, if you want to go to war, referring to my colleagues on the committee, you should do it in a proper manner. You should declare the war up and down. If it's necessary for our national security reasons, we should go all out, win it, and get it over with and come home. But it was explained to me rather emphatically that that part of the Constitution was anachronistic and we don't follow it anymore. And they also said that, Congressman Paul, that is a frivolous notion to bring up in the Congress. And also they said it was very impractical. So going to war without a declaration to enforce UN resolutions and to get rid of weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, that, they claim, is practical. What an example to set in the early 50s, going to war against Korea under UN resolutions. We should never even be in the United Nations. Every individual deserves the right to life and liberty, and the purpose of government should be to protect that life and liberty, not to meddle with it. We have to reject the notion of the personal income tax. You don't need a new tax to replace the income tax. The whole idea that they own us, even if they allowed us to keep 1%, where it started out very, very low, it's that principle that we have to reject. And of course, the real rejection should come in the method that they collect income taxes, because it is a violation of our rights to assume that we're guilty of a crime and we have to prove ourselves innocent, and that is un-American. I am convinced of one thing. I am convinced that the message of liberty is the answer. It works. It works economically. It works by protecting the rights of the individual, and it's the proper way to operate with the people around the world. And all we have to do is believe in liberty and work hard for it. Thank you very much.